marketing, branding, and content creation, this big buzz around that. And how can companies leverage it and strengthen their visibility in 2026?
So I think the transformation happens in two different ways. There's for the small to mid-sized company, and then there's for the larger corporate enterprise size. For the small and mid-sized companies, it can transform you from being sort of a silent business, a quiet business because you're either too busy or you don't have the team or you don't have a marketing professional on staff, to make some noise and not be part of the noise, but actually be active because it helps you accelerate. I mean, AI is a complete multiplier. Like, it allows you to do so much more with less, so much faster, and with accuracy. So, like any machine or engine, you need to have that human behind it that has the creativity, that can direct it, that can put in all the prep and the prompts. Without that, you sort of just get a bunch of junk that is irrelevant, or, you know, it's just part of the noise. And people don't want to see that. They don't want to see more content. They want to see content that's actually helpful, something that's meaningful to them. So the small business is able to take what they know, take their background, take testimonials, case studies, any kind of content that they already have, things they know from their customers, and use the tools to help them generate information. What I see often with smaller companies is that they sort of just put it in and take what they get out of there and then publish it as is without really refining it. And AI works in two ways there. It's either helping you build the framework or refining and polishing the work after you've done it. But it can't be both. So you'll notice if there's a lot of social media posts that have about 20,000 emojis and long dashes, you know, and you kind of start to learn the AI speak and you realize that's not, there's no personal touch there, there's no insight. So small businesses do have to be aware of that yes, it's giving you a voice, it's giving you the ability to create content and generate graphics and make materials, but you have to be careful with actually fine-tuning it and polishing it.
How do employers find the right balance between automation and a personal touch when it comes to sales?
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting question because what we saw recently, thousands of layoffs from Amazon, thousands of layoffs from Microsoft, thousands of layoffs from Salesforce, and the brand damage that was associated with it. The brand damage that Coca-Cola had when they released an ad that was using creative from AI rather than humans. And so humans are still the most important thing. And so productivity is skyrocketing and trust is plummeting. And so my productivity as an individual is much higher than what it was 4 years ago because I can use a business enterprise-grade security level tool to transcript my calls and plug them into a Salesforce instance or a HubSpot instance and not spend so much time on the minutia layer of sitting there behind a screen typing for 3 days a week. I mean, salespeople spend on average 30% of their time on that. And so that is being eliminated. And the people that don't leverage personal touch and communication and things like this are going to be the ones that are left behind, in my opinion. And that does involve adopting a level of AI usage, but that's not the thing that you're leveraging because of the AI, you're leveraging yourself. And so by being someone that uses AI and as a salesperson leverages the ability for it to handle a lot of my minutia layer tasks, and we call it a spilled milk, the messy middle. So by leveraging AI for the messy middle, I'm able to be much more present for people and network and meet people. And since joining the company in April, I have been able to do a lot more in-person and human connection type of events than I would have before when I was spending tons of time in the tools that were supposed to make my life faster. But over the years, things like Salesforce have been changed in a way that they benefit the engineers and the executives more than the sellers directly. So the AI is going to be able to cut through a lot of that. And we're very excited for that.
And how does this model help accelerate growth without overextending budgets?
Yeah, and so I think one of the interesting things that has come out of a lot of these layoffs is that people are going freelance more often. I know more people every single day that have been laid off and decided not to go back to a corporate job. And that is scary and cool. And so I think that it's been an interesting sort of dichotomy between people that are laid off and stuck, and that is awful because I personally know people who have been looking for jobs for 6 months plus. But also, I do think that the way that we are engaging is also changing. And so fractionals, I think across all of our industries, we're seeing more and more of it. And in Florida, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, we're one of the headquarters for PEOs in the country. And so we started on the HR side. And so fractionalizing HR was a really big thing for decades now. And Texas is the other capital. And so that is something that people around us in this geographic region are very used to. And people across the country are getting more and more used to it as well. I've worked with clients on very separate time zones, and all the way in the UK, Singapore. So that type of thing really enables companies to get the most out of what they're doing. And when it comes to fractionalizing rather than hiring really big departments, companies that are startups in growth stage, a VP of sales is $250,000 or more, usually with a really big compensation and equity package. And so you can fractionalize a lot of that front end as you're growing, and you'll eventually need people. And we have seen companies that are rehiring people because they laid off too many people. But on the growth side, you can take people like myself or others that have been either laid off or decided to go out on their own, and get that level of leadership and process improvement that would normally be reserved for companies that have been funded through a seed, Series A, B, or beyond, and they have millions of dollars to spend on their staffs. And so we think that, beyond HR, marketing, sales, all these different functions are going to be increasingly fractionalized so that people can scale their organizations, whether they already have salespeople or marketing people or developers in place, or if they're scaling to get